guys, Mark McKilley with Live Anabolic, and why did we just start this video with my back to you? Well, guess what? That's actually how most people see you, all right? Now, I know we sit here and talk to each other face to face a lot, but think how many times you're walking away from somebody and they're looking at you, okay? So it doesn't matter whether it's the guys or the girls or whatever. I'm just talking about the way you look physically is just as important from behind as it is from the front. And we really just never think about that, because remember guys, we're always looking in the mirror, you know, when we're shaving or brushing our teeth or doing whatever. So we don't, in our minds, we don't think how important it is to have a big back. Now, I've talked about this in some of my other videos, but guys, when it comes to losing weight, and everybody wants to have a nice small waist and six-pack abs and everything, but for the most part, we got a shirt on, you know, 99% of the time. And so even if you don't have six-pack abs, if you have built a big, wide, muscular back, it makes your waist look a ton smaller. Trust me, guys, it's that hourglass look, that V look, you know, that is so impressive. And everybody notices it. Guys notice it, women notice it. And so it's one of those things that I'm partially lucky in that I think I have good back genetics, but also I have always enjoyed working my back, and I've never, you know, forgotten it or skipped it or you know, put it off. And so because of that reason, I've developed a really big back, and I have people tell me all the time. Matter of fact, I had, you know, a 26-year-old girl at the gym stop me just a few weeks ago, and it was a back day, so I really was pumped up, and she was commenting on how big my back was, and she said I had all these muscles that she doesn't see any other guys have. So anyway, she wasn't really hitting on me because I was too old for her, but it was sure nice to hear. And it's a thing that I notice on guys all the time. So one of my good friends is a young guy in the Marines. Okay, he's a captain in the Marine Reserves. And this guy, you know, is a workout fiend, and he's really good about hitting his back also. And you know, we were literally, I'm just telling you just a random story, we were at Topgolf, all right, and he was walking in front of me, we were going down to our bay, and I was like, damn, this guy's gotten huge, okay? And he has a shirt on, obviously, but his back was so big, it just made his shoulders, his lats were sticking out, it makes his waist look small. Anyway, it was just a real impressive look to have, and it was all because he didn't neglect his back. So, guys, I'm going to tell you my 3 best exercises for back, and guess what? They all use bands. All right, one of the neat things about working back at home is you don't need anything except bands. There are a couple of dumbbell exercises you can do to build a good back, but really bands are the best way to build your back. And these things cost $25 off of Amazon. So super simple, guys. And really, there's only 3 exercises. Now, I'm going to show you in just a minute how to do these exercises, but first of all, I want to explain to you that there are about 17 different muscle groups in your back. It's a big, complex group of muscles, and they're layered on top of each other, okay? But when we think about back, just to simplify things, we think about our lats right here, okay? And then we have some muscles kind of under your armpit here that are the teres major and minor. Okay, these are our latissimus dorsi. And then you also have your rhomboids, which are kind of in the middle part of your back, and they help bring your shoulder blades together, okay? And they also add thickness to your back. So those are the 3 main muscle groups we're gonna work. But remember, guys, when we're working those big main muscle groups, we're still working all those other little stabilizer muscle groups also. So we're really gonna hit all the different groups in our back with only 3 exercises, all right? So the first one I'm going to show you is called a lat pull down. Now, 2 of these exercises use a high anchor point here. Now guys, because your back is so big and has so many muscles in it, you're going to need to use a lot of bands. Okay, so I've loaded up. I've got all 5 bands are clipped into the handles right now. You may not need all 5. Some of you guys might get so strong you might have to buy a second set of bands and actually add more than 5. But because this is so much resistance, when I show you in just a second, you need to really make sure that anchor is nice and sturdy up there. So I'm really yanking on that thing with my weight, okay? Because you don't want to be down on the ground going through this exercise and have that thing pop out and smack you in the face. All right, lat pull downs, guys. Now, because you need to get the bands pre-stretched before you start your range of motion, you really need to sit down on the ground, on your ass, okay? If you're on your knees, it's gonna mean you're too high. You won't have enough stretch, okay? And then guys, if you want to, you can move further away from the door, or hence in this case, the anchor, all right? But I just kind of like to put my feet on the door here, okay? And I'm gonna just concentrate, okay, on not the handles. I'm not worried about my hands. I'm worried about my elbows. So that's the key, guys, for the mind-muscle connection. I wanna bring those elbows down and back behind my back as far as I can get them, okay? So, and then don't yank them down. Don't use your upper body weight, okay? So I want you to stay nice and still and just stare up at that anchor point. But I want you guys, even though you're staring at the anchor, I want your brain to be thinking about those big muscles in your back that are slowly bringing your elbows down and back behind you, okay? So you don't bring them out like this, and you don't bring them too low like this, because if you're too low, you can't get them behind you. So it's a pretty natural movement, guys. So it's just down, and the handles are gonna be right about at chest height, okay? Now, the question you're gonna have now is, how many should I do? So this is not a workout per se for your back, okay? I just want to show you 3 different exercises, and all 3 of those combined will give you a fantastic all-around back workout. So everybody watching right now is, different fitness level. Some of you guys are really strong and in shape, so you guys can knock out a lot of resistance, a lot of bands, a lot of reps, and a lot of sets, okay? Some of you guys are beginning and you just don't use your back muscles very much, all right? So you're gonna be nice and sore. But guys, it's a great sore. It really is a good fun sore. So you won't be able to use as many bands, you don't need to do as many reps, and you don't need to do as many sets. So I'm gonna let you guys kind of figure out what's gonna be good for you. But, even if you're a beginner, do at least 3 sets, okay, before moving on to the next exercise. All right, so the next exercise are rows. Now, you can do rows with the anchor up high, like we just had it, or you can do it with a mid anchor. I like to do them down low, okay? All 3 ways work. I just think this is a little bit more effective. Now, just a minute ago, I showed you lat pull downs, which of course works our lats. Now, it works more than that, all right? So all these exercises, okay, even though they have a name for them and a primary muscle, remember, they're still working lots of different muscle groups at the same time. This exercise is designed to hit your rhomboids. Remember the big muscles in between your shoulder blades that may add a lot of thickness, all right? So guys, once again, make sure that anchor is nice and secure, because I'm using all the bands here and I'm putting a lot of stress on these things. I don't want that anchor flying out and hit me. All right, so once again, I want you to have some pre-tension, okay? Now, I have a nice kind of wide base, and bend your knees, guys, because this is gonna put some strain on your lower back. So if you're trying to do this straight up, the bands are gonna pull you over, and it also puts more stress on your back. So bend those knees, okay? And then just like before, I'm not gonna worry about the handles or my hands. I'm thinking about my elbows. I'm bringing those elbows back as far as I can. And guys, a big giant muscle group. Lots of muscles are getting flexed right now. And I think it's really better if you can hold it at the top for about a 1 or 2 count before returning the bands to the starting position. So get behind me real quick. I want you to see the muscles that are being flexed right now. So all right, so I don't know if it shows up on the camera so well, okay? But trust me, guys, when you're doing this, you have to engage your core. So it's not something you have to focus on intentionally, because the bands are trying to pull you forward, okay? And so as you're in that kind of seated position with your knees bent, okay, you're gonna get a little bit out of breath, not just because you're doing the back, but because all the muscles in your core are being engaged. So guys, it's almost like doing a plank, all right? So it's a really great exercise. It gets a lot of muscle groups, and it's a compound exercise. All right, guys, so the third and final exercise today is something called a straight arm pull down. Now, yes, we're working lots of different muscles in our back, okay? Which means normally you're really strong, okay? Which means you have to use a lot of bands. Well, guess what? This is different. We're still working some pretty big muscles, but the bands have a lot of leverage over us in this, you know, from a mechanical standpoint or a physics standpoint, because we're gonna have our hands or our arms are gonna be straight. Our elbows are gonna be locked out, okay? So because we're not bending our elbows, these bands have a lot of force over, you know, our hands and our arms. So you're not gonna be able to do nearly as much resistance. So that's normal, guys. So anyway, I take a much more narrow stance on this, okay? Because I want to, at the bottom of the movement, I want my arms to come out to the side of my thighs. And if my legs are too far out, then it makes it more difficult. So you need just a little bit of pre-resistance here. Once again, see how my knees are bent, okay? And I'm gonna be looking kind of straight forward at the door. And then I'm just gonna be pulling the handles down. Now, unlike the other exercises where I told you to focus on your elbows, all right, now you're focusing on the handles, okay? That's the mind-muscle connection, all right? So, all the way down to your thighs, and then control that resistance on the way up. All right, so guys, if you do it right, okay, and you need to do enough reps and enough sets, remember at least 3 sets, even if you're a beginner. All right, I want you to do enough reps that you start to feel a burn. And this is gonna hit these smaller muscles here. These are the teres minor and major. All right, but still that makes your shoulders really look wide, your back look wide when you hit this. And then of course the lats are bigger and they go lower down here. So there's lots of little muscles, you know. So I'm starting up here at the top of the back, the teres major and minor. And then on the inside of that, where your shoulder blades are the rhomboids, and then a little below and down to the bottom are your lat muscles. So 3 different exercises. We're getting probably all 17 muscle groups in the back, and that is real straightforward, guys. You can do this anywhere, all right? So these things will fit in your suitcase. If you're traveling, you can do this at your hotel room, all right? If you're on the road, no big deal. And remember, guys, the back is just as important as the front, all right? I promise it will make you look fantastic in clothes, but it ain't gonna happen overnight, right? So you gotta stick with it and never give up on yourself.